Hello rugby mates, here we are again Greens, we're at Need Pizza once again, this time in Wokingham.
Yeah, we go to all the great cities of the world.
England have won one of the last 6 Calcutta Cups.
Good teams don't lose back-to-back. Finn Russell was like a matador.
I thought it was wonderful to see Holly Davidson refereeing.
There's absolutely no question they've identified England on March the 7th.
Do you still have England as heavy favourites at Twickenham over Ireland?
I don't know if a side has played as well as France did today.
Hello rugby mates, here we are again Greens, we're at Need Pizza once again, this time in Wokingham, new venue, it's nice isn't it?
Yeah, we go to all the great cities of the world.
Pizza and beer again.
In Wokingham, yeah.
Getting used to this, and we've got a live studio audience again, give us a cheer folks. I mean, it's growing. It's growing.
Incredible. It's just thousands of us here tonight.
So listen, we're not going to go in chronological order this week. We are going to start
Because you're angry.
I am angry.
So, in case you don't know, I call him the angry little Mexican. He's always angry, particularly about English rugby. He's very well balanced because he's got a chip on both shoulders. So go on, crack on with your anger.
Look, I am a little. Angry little Mexican, angry England fan. So here's my point. Okay, England have won one of the last 6 Calcutta Cups. Scotland have 2 professional teams. England have 10 professional teams, and. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like I've got a little bit of a right to be angry at the minute because I genuinely don't think that that's acceptable.
Away from rugby, do you dislike Scottish people?
No.
Right, okay. Just wanted to clarify.
No,
I felt there's an undertone of dislike towards Celtic people.
No,
you're fair and balanced.
Not at all. I just feel, by the way, the game that we won last year, we 100% shouldn't have won. We scraped it by a point.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could be 6 from 6 in Calcutta Cups. Now, with all the resources that England have and all the resources that Scotland have, give me a reason why I shouldn't be angry.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the world rankings are at the moment. Are they 9th, 10th, 7th, 8th? They've just been beaten by Italy. They have been past the quarter-final of a World Cup back in 1991. We've gone 12 out of 12. We've won away in Argentina, 2-match series. Autumn, we beat New Zealand. They still haven't beaten New Zealand in their history. But the history of the Calcutta Cup and their levels of performance on Saturday and in the first 4 or 5 years have deserved it over those 80-minute periods. Their ability to get up for this game seems to be better than our ability to get up for this game. I don't know how big a picture you want to go. As a performance from England, it was as bad as it's been for a long time, and it has to be a long time because we've gone nearly over a year without losing. So there's so much to unpick, but as always, you should acknowledge before your anger bursts, we should acknowledge how good Scotland were, the pressure they were under, the pressure the coach was under. The comedy that was, I did enjoy someone sending me a note saying, "Can we play you every week?" It's a cracking sort of football chant. Their midfield clicked. They played with pace. They played with venom. They took their chances, which they didn't in Italy. They had a top-notch line-out, which collapsed. So they fixed all the wrongs of last week. They were the better team on today. No problem, no questions asked. There's so much we can talk about what we did wrong. But at the heart of it, they were better. I'm not trying to work out how I answer your question. In sport...
Well, do we have any right? Do we have any right?
If you play a certain team and they get the mocker on it, I mean, you go to football and for a long time, City can't beat Tottenham, you know. You go to all sorts of different sports. There are just certain teams that for certain passages in their history struggle, and rightly now. I mean, I think they went 28 years without winning at Twickenham. It might have been slightly longer than that. So in amongst they've won last 5 or 6 on the trot. Yeah, they did go 30 years without winning at one place. But when we talked about it last week, that sometimes you see a particular colour shirt and you go, actually, we start 10-0 up before the game's even started. And it builds on both sides of that divide, in that Scotland feel $1 million playing England. And every time England run out and see Finn Russell, it was like the French for about a decade playing against a team that had Johnny Wilkinson in. You know, they were beaten the World Cup semi-final in 2007. They were beaten before they'd stepped foot on the pitch because they went, oh, him. And that's a damning run of form that we now have to wait another year to try and arrest. Is the bigger picture. The detail of the game was fascinating. There was so much going on that you can look at technically, where they were really good. And I think the commentator at one stage said we hadn't got off the bus. There were just moments. We always like to talk about setting yourself up for success, giving you the best self, the best chance of being able to win a game, putting yourself in positions that when the chances come, you can take them, and conversely, organising yourself that when you're under pressure, you survive for that 5 or 10 minute period. And England failed on both counts. There were moments where you thought, we've got them here, and came away with nothing. And you felt there were other times when, yeah, they've got a slight advantage here, but they shouldn't be scoring 7, then 14 points that quickly. And I think it will be they're pretty calm in England camp, but I think it will be a very, very difficult review for them Monday. And there will have to be a lot of honesty, and a lot of people saying, I was out of position. I didn't hear the call. I got the call wrong. And those are difficult conversations to have, but they have to be had if you want to improve.
I'm going to ping you a couple of questions that have come in via the social media, and this one feels relevant to me, and it kind of picks up actually on the chat that we were having last week, because you very much downplayed my feeling that Scotland have an emotional advantage over England. Yeah. They play the game with so much emotion. And once again, I felt that, admittedly through the TV screen. Commentators were talking about it, and you were like, no. Look, these are professional athletes. It's not about that. But then how do we square the circle, as it were, with a pack that was well beaten by Italy last week, beating England up the following week? If it's not about emotional energy and just bringing something different to that England-Scotland game, that Scotland can raise their levels, and somehow England have
the Scotland pack didn't beat England pack up.
You don't think that?
No. The backs defended really, really poorly.
Right.
Jones scores 2. Ritchie scores on a wing from a back play that England got completely wrong. We got done on a short side again, where the disconnect between wing and scrum half end vending on the edge went badly. We got a drop goal, charged down. We destroyed their scrum.
Yeah.
They went after him. I don't understand, Iron, about the 43rd minute, when it might have been slightly later, Ferguson's had a warning. It then wasn't him that was on. We have a scrum pen midfield. We play through. That ends up with the drop kick being charged down. You're just going, no, lads, just they're on a warning. Take the scrum pen, yellow card, gone. Look, we're still 11 points behind. So I disagree with the fact you saying Scotland beat us up. No, Scotland were just ruthless with their chances, and England defended really badly. And I was sort of worried about going into too much minutiae. We got done for a no-arm tackle by Luke Cowan-Dickie, and they throw in the line out. 13 minutes. If you're watching at home and you've recorded it on whatever device it is you watch, you go with 13 minutes and 10 seconds. So Arundel's in the bin. They call a 5-man +1 line out. That's where they've got a forward sitting in the scrum half to go bounce out. We have 6+1 plus Mitchell. So we've got the wrong numbers in the line out. So we're defending in a backline that's already one short, and we've put one too many in the line out. No one spots it. Cowan-Dickie spots it late, points, but doesn't really point. So we go in the line out with one man too many in the scrum, which means we're really tight in the back line. Then you move out into the back line. By the way, we were also offside. We encroached too early. So had they not scored, we'd have come back. So we've got the numbers wrong in the line out. We've encroached immediately. I mean, it's a horror 90 seconds. It encapsulates the whole game. And people will talk about the drop goal. and other bits and pieces. We're then defending in the midfield, and because we're short of numbers, Freeman and Roebuck start too wide. Earl, Ford, Dingwall start really tight. They do a simple wraparound play. 8 to 9, bounce out play. Someone comes short, they go out the back. 3 players taken out. Now Freeman has to make a decision. He's now not facing downfield, watching them come on. He's now turned sideways, so he's done. So he bites, but Roebuck doesn't bite because they're not supposed to bite. So now they've taken 11 defenders out. I mean, honestly, the review would be really difficult. People say, what are you doing here? Roebuck stays wide. They coast through us. Stewart at the back then panics, runs past everyone in order to try and stop it. And they're in behind up the right-hand side. No one then thinks, oh, we moved Roebuck to left wing to cover for Arundel. So people say you were one short. We weren't one short defending that move. We didn't have a blindside wing, but that doesn't impact how you defend the set-piece play. We've got the numbers wrong in the line-out. We've got the defensive system completely wrong. This was at 10-0. They've just scored. It's like, lads, now, no mistakes next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They get wide. They walk through us. I mean, walk through us with an old-fashioned play. They get up the right-hand side. Everyone goes, back to being 8, 9, 10-year-olds. Honeypot, oh, my God, there's trouble over here. We all flood that way. Jamie Ritchie stands on the far side. He's got the keys to Murrayfield. No one's within 50 metres of him.
Yeah.
Russell goes out of back, hits Tripolotto. He throws a loopy pass. No one's thought, Arundel's not there. Let's cover for him, because it was a horror 90 seconds. And it sort of summed up the day that they thought faster than us. They played faster than us. We were slow. We kicked a ball away. The first line out, we drive 15 metres, we get into their half, and we box kick it. It abdicates responsibility. Now, I get it, it's the stats, but we've talked about this. This isn't us me beating a drum and suddenly changing my mind on England. But, by the way, I'm not throwing the baby out of the bathwater here. These games do happen. If you learn from them, you've gone 12 on the spin, you learn from them, you come back, and you try and get to Paris still with a chance to win the championship. But I don't get kicking it there. We lost all the second touches. The aerial battle wasn't winning. We talked about the 6-2 split without having a Marcus Smith. There were a couple of moments in the second half where we have them for numbers, but Freddie's more. What do you want from a fullback? Do you want a goalkeeper, or do you want a Rooney? What is it? Your fullback, and clearly England will always go. And people, I get it. It's the aerial battle. You want a shot stopper, diffuse the aerial thing. But at the same stage, there was times in the second half where you just thought, this is set up for Marcus now. We got him up the right-hand side. We had a 4-on-3. We draw him. It turns into 3-on-2. You're thinking, if Furbank's fit or Marcus now, here we go, round it. And they're both available. So Freddie's safe. So it just buys into what you're saying. They're a really good bunch of lads. But they played safe. They played within themselves. They played choreographed. It was easy to read. Scotland went after them on the edges like we knew they would.
Can I throw a question at you? Well, I know you're mid-flow here, but I just want to pick up on where responsibility lies in professional sport for this, because it didn't feel like we adapted at all.
So on your point earlier that they don't go, England wouldn't go from deep from their own line, and they went, do you know? So again, it's a good one. So people will see that and go, how are they getting around our midfield there? How do you think we defend? When they've got a defensive scrum. So Scotland have the ball on their 5-metre line. Where do we put Ford?
I actually don't know.
So we put Ford at 13.
Right.
Dingwall in. So that's why they go wide. So it's an easy play.
Yeah.
But my whole point is they're looking, they're watching, they're doing the analysis. It's how you could get to France, because they moved Jalibert to 13 to defend those ones, which means they want to do a side-on tackle, which means actually it's an easy out.
Yeah.
So it's having the ability, but it goes back to what's in front of us, what are we seeing, what are we playing.
Can I just give the context?
Russell has that.
I'll just give the context for you guys, because before we started the pod, we were talking, and I said what I found very impressive about Scotland was a number of times they are spreading the ball wide on their own try line against us, and the confidence that they played with there. And what I was saying to Greens is that I don't feel like England would ever do that at the minute. And the conversation was around, why would they not do that? And for me, a lot of this is about Steve Borthwick's DNA. I feel personally, and I might be wrong, but my personal feel is that this England team plays within themselves because Steve Borthwick is a very programmatic coach. You kick here. You do this in this situation.
I think that's 2 years old.
Well, yeah, but you say that, but I feel like that's what we did in this game.
Well, yes. So under pressure, we didn't cope with the pressure. That's not saying he's saying don't do it. That's saying those players, then you might say, well, they're the players he picked. So it might be chicken or egg. But Blackett's backline, Borthwick's backline, if it's on the play, they play. They were just making setup errors, basic errors. They were making knock-ons that they didn't do against Wales under pressure. I mean, the weird one is, I don't think George Ford wanted to do a drop goal. I've watched it 4 or 5 times now. We're playing, we're in behind him, we're playing, we're in behind him. And I don't know if you watch the Super Bowl, but if a quarterback, if you go to the shotgun, and the shotgun is sort of from the line of scrimmage, the nose tackle huts it through his legs to a fullback to a quarterback who's 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage. They've got all the 4 wide receivers, and you look to try and play. If they're under pressure then to sack, you just got to chuck it away. You can't get sacked 15, 20 yards behind.
Yeah.
We're playing. George, where do you think George Ford was the ruck before he took the drop goal? Anyone? Where would you think he was?
I think it'd be first receiver flat
and waiting
for the ball.
The ruck before the drop goal, he was at the bottom of a ruck clearing someone out.
Yeah.
So it's the detail. So he then gets up from that ruck, walks round the back. He's expecting Mitchell to play left or right, midfield. He's actually, just before Mitchell passes the ball, he's actually facing perpendicular to the goal because he's looking to see where it's gone. He's only 10 yards from the ruck when George goes to drop goals. So
it's a snap decision, isn't it?
It's a snap decision.
Yeah.
He goes to it. He then realises he's got the ball behind his entire team.
Yeah.
Has to go, gone. So I think you can argue that this England team against Scotland have the yips and Scotland have the mocker on them, however it is you like to talk about it, because I don't think the performance that England had on Saturday represents who they are and have been for the last year. And the problem with sport and everyone talking about it, if you are not a fan of the system, of the coach, of the way, you're just waiting for one bad game to pile in and kill them. And I think that's what's happened. And I think it's, if I'd offered you on the back of last year's, when did we last lose before this one? It was Ireland at the start of the Six Nations. If I'd offered you after that game, played 13, won 12, lost 1, this time, you'd say that's the most great thing. So
snap your arm off.
So therefore, don't overreact.
Yeah.
When we've seen so much progress, allow the players to be ruthless with each other and to come out and give a performance. Good teams don't lose back to back. If they lose back to back, I'll allow you to be a little angrier. If they lose to Ireland,
that'd be frightening. That
lose
wouldn't it?
to Ireland, struggle against Italy. If by the back end of this tournament, if we've only won 2, go for your life. I'm not stopping you. But I just think in this binary world where we want instant change, if we don't like what we see, then this is what there's the danger of falling into. Again, if you clip that up in such a way, all my Scottish friends were saying, why aren't you saying how good we were?
Yeah.
And Finn Russell was like a matador. There were so many times when you thought the Ben White try obviously came from a late error from Ellis, but we've got him. And which one? Who slipped off him? Let me go with the Ben White try. Russell's back. He goes back to the short side. He goes past people. I think it's Pepper. Then on the outside, we've done again. Steen just flies past Underhill and Arundel. And 7 points, like, oh my God. So add those up, 7 for that. The drop goal where Hugh Jones runs off with the Calcutta Cup down Princes Street at 7 points. It's there. Everything Scotland didn't do last week, they managed to do this week. And fair play to them. I'm chuffed for Gregor. And his players who he backed up really delivered for him, which was the question about how it would go. Because I'd be under no illusions if they'd lost that one, then there's all sorts of emergency meetings going on in Murrayfield today. And where do you go? I mean, I know it sounds like a really cheap headline, but you got to pick Pollock. He has to start. His point of difference. I mean, there was the frustration. Again, I'm going to rant again for just a second. Where was it? I think we're at 31-13, right? Oh yeah, we're 18 points down. There's 12 minutes on the clock left. 18 points down, 12 minutes, which is 3 tries, right? And we have a ball up our left-hand side on our 10-metre line. Relatively good ball. High aerial bomb. I get you. I can feel your frustration. 50-50 ball with abdicating responsibility. Now, in the end, Pollock nearly grabbed it and went. So they'll say, but he nearly got it. He's up the right-hand side. He's had a great run. He's up the left-hand side. He's bumped. He's made things happen. He's got pace. I know we're going to talk about other teams, but you've got to pack your team with as much pace as possible. Especially, you're not just picking a sprinter who doesn't know how to play rugby. He's a proper rugby player.
Yeah.
And he hasn't yet started for England. And he has to start.
Yeah,
He has to start against Ireland.
Can we just pick up on, again, this is a theme from last week as well, where I thought we were magnificent against Wales. However, my big gripe last week was that I felt we kicked too much in attacking areas, and we saw it again this week. And at what point do we say, right, we can go through phases? Scotland weren't doing that to the same extent, and we were losing the aerial battle. So why are we still doing that? Well, I'm talking about multiple kicks that George Ford puts up between 10-metre lines.
Yeah.
When we've got good quality ball. I do not understand that.
You're preaching to the converted. You're banging on an open door. The centres have to be more demonstrative. The back three have to ask for more. And on occasion, they have to either confront in the review on Monday and say, I know we've just had 12, win 12, we lost last week. Do we have to lose again before we change? How much freedom can you give us? Now, I'm not saying, he might say, no, I want you to stick to this one, and we'll see what happens. But as players, I think there's a time where you can ask for a little bit more in that sort of, from our own 10-metre line to their 22. I really think you should be kicking if there's nothing else on. I don't think you should be kicking from first phase. Don't think that should be a strike play. I would ask Lee Blackett, say, come on, give us something we can watch their defence. Find me a weakness. The reality is people score from kicks. I mean, I know Atisogbe was offside for one, but France scored from 3 kicks in the Welsh 22. You're all thinking France, they all singing, all dancing, say they kick the ball but kick well. They kick to space.
Yeah, not 50-50 kicks. Yeah. None of those were 50-50 bombs.
Not
one.
Yeah, no, I get that argument. I feel that a little bit of player authority. So a collision-rich environment where you question, and if the argument comes back, no, this is why we're doing it, and this is what I'd like to do it, then fine, okay, but don't not ask the question, because otherwise, you don't get many chances to play Test rugby, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them didn't expect them just to be chasing kicks, which they found themselves on the weekend. I mean, going back to errors, so we got duffed up again. Roebuck for Hugh Jones's try. We've got 3 or 4 on the short side, plus him. Matador dives out. So, just to say, our pack is a really good pack. Our line out is fab. The scrum went great. We just had 2 or 3 moments where it felt like they'd had a lobotomy and perhaps did what they felt they should do to get them as an individual out of trouble, as opposed to think, what does the team need now? And I know Scotland went after it is I still do not understand defending with a scrum half as last man. And Steyn had the free run of the right wing too often, got in behind us too often for that very system. Either we have to get a lot better at it quickly or ditch it.
2 last questions for you. Hopefully quick answers to this. Arundel being off for 30 minutes. This is the question. Had he been on the pitch, do you think the result would have been different? Do you think that was the material difference? No.
No, I don't.
No, and I don't think that either. So that's interesting.
No.
So that was the first question.
That's a short enough answer.
No, that is a very good short answer. Thank you for that. Finn Smith, George Ford, where are you?
He hasn't. I mean, Steve's surprised us with some selections over the last 12 months. I would be really surprised if George Ford is in number 10 next week. On the back of everything that's gone on, 12 wins, 1 defeat, would I change it? No. I wouldn't change it. I think over the course of this year, I think there's a time and an occasion where Finn Smith will play and will get the opportunity to become the number 110 for England going to the World Cup. And I think there are some challenges there coming for every player that's over 30. So that includes Marrow coming under pressure from Coles and Chesham, sort of a sentence you never thought you'd say. Jamie George coming under pressure and starting on the bench, but where will the other hookers? Would it be Theo Dan? I'm not sure he gets... I think you pick Jamie above Theo. But is there another... will Kepu? Is it Kepu Tuipulotu at Bath? The young hooker? There's a couple out there. Could come under a bit of pressure for his. So there will be a slow... There will always be an evolution under Steve as opposed to a revolution. But I think there's 2 or 3 games now, Springboks in the summer, the Nations Series in the autumn, where Finn Smith will get his chance, and when he gets his chance, I bet he takes it.
Yeah. But you actually said at the start of that you think Finn Smith will play on Saturday. You wouldn't change George Ford, but you think he will. You think Finn Smith will play against Ireland?
No, I don't. No,
you don't.
No,
you don't.
That's what I said. Yeah, I'd be very surprised.
Okay,
I would be very surprised.
Okay, and then last point on the 6-2 split. You actually said it in your when the team was selected that you were a little confused by the 6-2 split, and as it turned out, you're
less confused. I think it was the long... I talked about risk-reward.
Yeah, risk-reward.
I felt they'd gone... I think they got the risk-reward ratio. To be fair to Finn Smith, they didn't do too badly as a 12, but the issue is you end up then with a 10, 12, 13 of Ford, Finn Smith, Dingwall. There is no outside break there. There were a couple of opportunities when they had a set-up play to go out the back and they got the timing slightly wrong, so Dingwall had to carry, got isolated. There was another one where, again, the timing wrong, which allowed Scotland to defend them easily. My issue is so little time as together as training. Most of the step-in stuff Finn Smith would have done would have been at 10. That when you're trying to chase a game and you throw a backline together, even though that would be still 2 Northampton Saints at 12, 13, I think Spencer had come on by that, so 1 Mitchell had gone off, but Freeman's on them. So there's still some cohesiveness from the Saints there. I think it's very different to try and ask them to score 18 points with a midfield that you would never pick as a starting midfield.
No.
You'd never have 40.
No.
You both could live till 100. He would never start with Ford, Finn Smith and Dingwall as his midfield. So you don't really want to be in a position where they're on the pitch when you're 18 points behind.
So my big disappointment in terms of not seeing Marcus Smith on the bench was that if there's any game that you want Marcus Smith on the pitch for, it's against Scotland, where you know they're going to be playing fast, the game's going to be open, and Marcus Smith is our greatest and most potent attacking weapon in those type of environments would be my call. So not to have him on the bench for me just was, I found that difficult.
Look, of course, I mean, I think Scotland now lost probably Ritchie for the next game, which is a great shame for him. Dobie's gone, so every team struggles with some injuries. It's clear if Furbank was fit, he'd be playing. Feo Bosa was fit, he'd be playing. Lawrence has been out, injured, and therefore missed the first game, is now back and available for selection. So there's been a few things he has had to tweak, and they're not excuses, but I don't think. I'm trying to think how many times in the last 12 months he's actually been able to pick his first choice backline. So there's always got to be a caveat, a small asterisk in the appendices there as well when it's not quite firing as well as he'd like. But the conclusion is you don't lose 2 on a trot. If you lose 2 on the trot, the noise gets louder, and the players will become more frustrated about the options they're being asked to take from particular situations. If they turn up and turn over Ireland next week and they're back in the Championship and they find themselves, as I said, on March the 14th in Paris with a chance of winning it, then we're still cross about not playing for a slam. But noise goes away quickly in sport if you get back on the wagon, get back on the horse quickly.
I promise you this is my final point on this game. I'm taking you back to Six Nations last year against Ireland, where we got beaten well, but we scored 2 tries in the last 5 minutes. And I had this moment in the at Murrayfield where I was thinking, this has got mirrors of exactly what happened to us. And that bonus point turned out to be very important in terms of us ending up second. And we couldn't get over the line there. But they feel like moments in games that get completely missed by everyone. I was sitting there thinking this bonus point could be really important. It wasn't really talked about. Did you even think about it? Or am I?
There was I think 72, 73 on the clock.
Yeah.
I had to score them. We got to the final score was 31-20, and we only had a minute to be able to play. And actually, you talk about the 10, 12, 13. We were playing from deep because we had to chase it.
Yes.
And Roebuck's expecting, I think it was either Finsmith or Dingwall, apologies to either of them, were playing out from deep. And because he'd normally expect his centre to put some wheels on it and take the space, Roebuck actually looked up to see where the space was, thinking, my fast, gassy midfield centre will take more space here. But we didn't have the fast, gassy midfield centre, so I had to throw the early ball. Roebuck wasn't even looking, so he then looks daft. But that's as a product of who you've ended up on the field with. The issue was, we got to 20 points too slowly from 31-13. I think they went 31-13 up in the 58th minute. And if you want to come away with something, which would have been very helpful, too slow to get there.
We're going to loop back to where we started and just say, well played Scotland. Thought they were magnificent. And by the way, I just think that they are, despite their lapses, Italy, a magnificent team. I think Gregor is an amazing coach. And actually, based on what I was talking about at the start, the thing that I always think about Scotland is they punch above their weight. If you look at their resources and then what they actually put out on the pitch and how they play, absolutely, you can only doff your cap to them. And I thought they were magnificent. So well played, Scotland.
In about 10 minutes' time, Blair Kinghorn is playing fullback for Toulouse.
Yeah, that's extraordinary.
That he's not even involved. He'll be back, I would imagine, with Dobie injured next week. Darcy Graham will probably come straight in as a like for like. And you would imagine that Blair will be back in the fold next week. Where is Scotland next week? England are playing Ireland, France are playing Italy, so they're in Cardiff, aren't they?
Yeah. Okay, we are going to move on to Italy, Ireland, and we are going to...
No, you're not. You're going to move on to Ireland, Italy. You do it every week.
Ireland, Italy.
It's like, who's at home, you mug?
Okay, Ireland, Italy we are moving on to now. And we're going to start Ireland, Italy with a little bit of history, which maybe it's because I'm a dad of 3 daughters, but I thought it was wonderful to see Holly Davidson refereeing. I thought she did a great job as well. So... a little moment of history in the Six Nations, and it's good to see that representation, I think.
Fabulous.
Yeah. So let's move on to the game itself. Once again, Italy were magnificent, I thought, and will maybe be waking up today thinking that they've let one get away.
They had their moments late on. The usual stories, Juliana's a nuisance. The front row were fab, defensively as well as just in the set piece. They contribute. Breck's not playing. In went, I think it's Marin in 12. Did a decent job. Menoncello does it again. Unfortunate full pass to Liner, but a fair call. The right call from Holly Davidson. They came hard on the edges. They defended beautifully. And I think they found themselves ahead against Ireland for the first time in their history, certainly in Dublin. They may have done it in Rome, but certainly in Dublin, first time ahead. Ireland's, look, we're massive kudos to Italy. Another bonus point. Ireland, you make 6 changes, which they did. Hampered them. There was no rhythm. I don't necessarily want to go on about the individuals that I just think I'm not sure they're test players. But Ireland's accuracy in the first half, again, I'm saying it's not awful. The first knock-on wasn't until the 22nd minute. So you go, that's all right. It was so clunky. Average line-out, overthrown line-outs. They jagged back to short sides, passed to the floor, kicked badly. Scrum move goes to deck. It was painful to watch at times. The young kid at 10 out of Mare, I'm a huge fan of his talent. But there was no pace in it. He needs to have a team that plays with pace. And when there's no pace, he then tries to force it. And he digs himself an even deeper hole and then gets hooked for Crowley, who then comes on with Jameson Gibson Park, and they start to add some pace in. Both the second rows they picked are like for like. McCarthy and Ryan, they're both enforcers. They brought Conan back in at 8 and moved Doris to 7. They're big, lumpy. It's a slow, statuesque performance that played into the Italians' hands, who were right, well, if you're not going to play with any pace, we're going to come and clatter you. We're going to come and get in your face, and we're going to find ourselves, 10-5 up at half-time. So Ireland, in reality, were controlling the ball for the first 30 minutes, but not the scoreline, because they couldn't get any tempo.
Yeah, they were blunt when you looked at Italy.
Osborne's a lovely player at the back. He's a great left peg, does some nice things, but a bit like he's more of a goalkeeper than he's not Hugo Keenan. Again, they're missing a couple of key players like that. They will have been really concerned at half time. The Italian scrum was going well, but they made some changes. Italy did exactly what you don't want to do: concede a pen early in the second half. And if they could have kept their lead to 55-60, they're in it. But they coughed up their lead too early on in the second half to undo so much of the good work. Jameson Gibson Park comes on, the game changes. Byrne comes on in the second row. The balance of the team now is way better. Balakun actually was decent from the start. McCloskey's picking up a hatful of points in the fantasy rugby, because he's giant of a man who can offload. But I think the key one for me was the 9 and the tempo and the head up that Gibson Park brought to it. For the Italians, again, Zuliani, Zambanin, the Canone boys, they're making names for themselves, right? And I know they're in Paris this week, which of course will be a hugely difficult fixture. There's absolutely no question they've identified England on March the 7th as still the team, either home or away, that they haven't beaten in the Six Nations. And whether or not we'll see that in Quesada's selection next week, I mean, they have got a week off after the France game. Whether or not you see anything in the selection next week to throw a lot of eggs at the English basket will be really interesting to see. But fair play to them. I'm actually just writing, my dad's just writing, there's a 4-page, if you are in Rome and you do get a match day program, because we lived there for 6 years, there's a 4-page story on the Greenwood's history in Rome. So if you are in Rome, bring me back a program.
So let's go to the second half, because there were moments in that game where it felt like Ireland of old. They went through multiple phases, really well organised, and I was looking at that thinking, do you know what? If they put that game out at Twickenham, we're gonna have some issues. Couple of questions for you. Do you think they can do that? And do you still have England as heavy favourites at Twickenham over Ireland? You do.
England heavy favourites.
Yeah.
It's again, I'm trying to think the last time we lost there, because the last game we lost, of course, was Ireland, but that was away. So it's probably the autumn of 2024. So you're getting on for a year and a half, a hatful of games against some really strong sides. I don't think form in top-level rugby is like a tap that you can just turn on and off. I think Ireland are having some rebuilding issues, some injury issues. They're not sure about where their 10 is or who their 10 is. So I don't see them able. I see them able to come and be Twickenham and be competitive and rattle the cage a little. But no, the straight up question to who's the rock solid favourite for the game against Ireland at Twickenham, England. Patches of play, decent in the second half. But you say that for all the patches of play, they only scored 2 tries in that passage of play, and they found themselves on their own line for the last 5 minutes. A small. Jack Crowley, I wonder if, we always talk about greatest tries. I wonder if his kick could be the worst kick ever in the Six Nations at the end. He was only 10 metres from the try line. He only had to kick it 5 yards. That is a duff chip on the edge of the green that's still at your feet. And you look up and you realise you've decelerated a little bit.
The camera didn't pick it up.
You turn around and check, has anyone seen it?
The camera didn't pick it up. No one saw it on TV.
For the
line out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
And again, we talk about the bonus point we missed. That 3 tries at that stage, that denies Ireland a bonus point, so they're on 4. Of course, they've already played France, they got out of the way, but that's 6 points behind France. So already France have a free hit in any game before Ireland even have a chance of catching them. So their championship looks like they need 5 points at Twickenham to stand a chance.
And it's not happening, according to Will Greenwood, anyway.
It might happen. I thought England would beat Scotland, so.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to the game this afternoon. I mean, what an absolute joy France are to watch.
Unless you're Welsh.
Unless you're Welsh. Yeah. No, do you know what? I think there'd be plenty of Welsh people that would enjoy watching France as well.
I had a text from a couple of mates who were at the game this afternoon saying, I'm thinking about leaving and going to the pub we normally go to just outside the ground. I said, don't leave. Stay and watch one of the best Six Nations performances. I was going to say I can remember, but I've watched every Six Nations game there's ever been because it started in 2000, so that's 26 years. I don't know if a side has played as well as France did today. In terms of they're all, I mean, what area of the game? Pick any area of the game, and they were world class. Their pace, their physicality, their desire to keep the ball alive. They pass the ball into space. They lift the ball on offloads. They're happy to offload when surrounded to an individual, understanding that the individual will get it and will be physical enough. Not sometimes when you offload to a guy on their own behind the advantage line, swamp through, whoever they offload to will look after themselves. They bring 2 kids in who both score. I mean, Gaeton's been around a bit, has some caps, but Brobwary scores early on, almost with his sort of, not quite his first touch in Test rugby, but through he goes. Beale, I know Jalibert got man of the match. I mean, Beale Beery almost had the perfect game. I mean, he did everything.
Yeah.
His defence is awesome. His kicking game's awesome. His high ball work's incredible. His wheels are a joke. That it almost looked cruel when they showed the replay of him going around Dowie Lake. But it was just the very
cheat code, wasn't it? Yeah.
Very definition of someone who knows what he can do, assesses the situation in front of him, and therefore is not even thinking about Lake. He's just going, "What's my next challenge?" Can think that far ahead. Dupont, tough as you like. Extraordinary pace up the middle, offloading. Guyard and Olivon are, I mean, as we're saying, their back row is masquerading in the second row, but they also do the jobs of second rows. Their line-out's great. They pack a punch. They're huge men. They're comfortable on the ball. Gross, Aldeguerri, Marchand, that front row. Honestly, I know I've got all my South African friends screaming at me going, but South Africa battered us, it battered them in the autumn. This France team is good, man, and I don't know who would have beaten them today. If you'd beaten France today, you can have the World Cup next year.
So the one thing that you haven't spoken about here,
one thing, sorry, last bit,
Go on.
was unbelievable. Something which you then realise, right, France, their discipline is epic.
All right, well, that's what I was going to talk about.
Five pens.
Yeah.
And looked up, hands on ball, get away. Treated offside.
Yeah, discipline and defence is extraordinary, right? And that's for me where they've really stepped up, because Wales, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I actually thought Wales were all right today. They were stringing stuff together. They were having a go. They were throwing everything at this side that they could.
Yeah.
And they were just hitting a brick wall the whole time. The discipline and defence was absolutely amazing. And that almost is that foundational piece for France on top of all the glorious other stuff is why they're so good at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to see my notes on a podcast, but I split the page in two, and down the right-hand side is the away team. Down the left-hand side is the home team. The only notes I've got in the Wales section is France are brilliant to watch. That's in the first half. I mean, I know Carey scored. The second half, I haven't written anything about Wales. Nothing. It's because it was just, wow. Serran comes off the bench, sells a dummy from a restart, goes 60, pops it to Olivon. They score up the right-hand side. Olivon scored. Vince started and finished it. Their bench, Nuki comes on in that back row. They're picking youth. Giroud. Giroud's starting, which I think Pollock should do. He's their version of Pollock. He's everywhere. I mean, he's absolutely everywhere. Jalibert, you always get a bit of luck in your career. If Ontamax's fit, he's not playing. And currently, everyone who captained him in their fantasy team is going, I think he nearly scored 200 points today on his own.
He was awesome.
What it was, but I've got LBB written everywhere. I mean, across all my notes, just LBB this, LBB that. His arcing runs. Louis Rusamic defended really well. Carey scores a good try. They got themselves back into it at 19-7. And then there was that moment, which I know Steve Tandy would be furious with Adam Beard for doing it. But I tell you, I promise you, I don't think I never lost 54-7 at Test match level, but I certainly got. When did I get battered? Probably New Zealand at Old Trafford, and the final score I think was 25-8. So it wasn't really, but I felt like, I promise you, you can have as much of a pop as Adam Beard as you like, until you're out on the field.
Yes,
you're facing what they were facing, and suddenly the ball ends up in your hands. And there's space in behind, and you just don't want it. Get rid of it. I don't want it. I'm going to get smacked. There's no one next to me. I'm going to kick it. And you just go, what are you doing? And until, I know it's really difficult, until you've been there, most rugby players have had an Adam Beard moment. So I'm not going to throw stones.
One moment I liked on the TV greens, you'll like this, was that the stat that kept flashing up on TV was LBB's try record. So he's at 1.1 tries per game for caps, and there was Greenwood at number 3, 0.7.
Yeah,
you were at?
Slightly miffed because the guy they put in at 0.71 only scored 5 tries. So they had a minimum requirement of at least 5 tries. They'd make it at least 10 tries.
Yeah,
too good. So in my own head, I'm actually second.
There we go. I knew there was something like that coming from you.
All I know is Pinot and Freeman and Duan van der Merwe are below.
Yeah,
that's all I needed today.
Yeah, happy days.
And Rucker was like, but Dad, I beat you in races. I said, everyone beats me in a race, but not to the ball, son. Not to the ball.
I love that. That was a great moment.
We talked about Ramos. He's a freaking genius. He's an absolute genius. And what I love about him is there was one, he jags back, he takes the ball deep, he feigns to go open. So if they kick to a channel and say after Sogby gets it up the left-hand side, or on the other side, little BRE gets it, they throw it to him. And most wingers would then sort of switch on. You can't switch off with Ramos because he'll feign to go midfield to go away from you. He'll jag back. He'll drag the winger away from you, and he'll just pop it up into the space. He'll pass to no one, Honestly, you could get certain angles of some of Ramos's passes, and you'd go, he's passing to no one. You're right, he isn't passing to anyone. He's passing to space. And if you play with Ramos, you play with Dupont, you play with Jalibert, where the space that they vacate, fill it, because they will leave the ball there. And it...
Same theme as last week.
Davies said it was beautiful, and I had to completely agree with him. I was mesmerised by not just the physicality of the role, I was mesmerised by their ball movement, by their interplay, by it was like a Red Arrows display at times. People moving at sonic speed, and yet the ball was seen to be floating. It was a joy, as I said, not if you're necessarily Welsh, but actually, as I said to my Welsh friends, sometimes you've just got to enjoy a performance for what it was. Wales now have Scotland at home. Wales have Italy at home on the final weekend. I know they've got another in between. They've got to try and get something out of those two games to give them any sort of confidence. You are right. There were moments, there were patches, but today they just came up across a giant of the modern game in France in the form of their lives.
Yeah, that feels like a nice place to rest before we get some questions from the audience. So thank you as ever, Greens.
Do you think we're having the wrong conversation about Italy? I'm a huge Ireland fan. I'm a dual citizen, so I will always fall on the Irish side. And it was messy and it was clunky and I was embarrassed watching. But I do think Italy over the last few Six Nations, consistently over like my time watching rugby, we have expected to beat them. England have been expected to beat them. But Italy have got better and better and better. And they were so physical. I think England could really come a cropper. Do you not think that now Italy are becoming real contenders in this competition?
Yes. Yeah, and I hope. Well, that's a great question to call us up on, because I think we try, when we look at both teams, then we'll often look at a side that's maybe been number one in the world recently and go, this is what they did wrong. I'd like to think we are, or have been, supremely positive about Italy like you, and can now roll off the tongue the whole Italian 15. We understand how they're trying to play. They'd have two or three players who might get in the conversation, would get into the conversation for team of the tournament, and will be a real threat. I think the argument on the England answer still is, yes, they've got to beat England. The issue Italy have had over the last few years, as they've got better, everyone else has got better. I think you're right that they are closing the gap. I still think to win the championship, a couple of quirky things would have to happen for them to win the championship. Yeah, I think the next big challenge for them is, and it's not being it's not having rose-tinted spectacles. The big hurdle they've got to do is they've got to beat England. They've beaten everyone else. I think everyone else home and away.
Yeah.
And that's, but like we said, I think about sort of half an hour ago, they think this is their time to cross the Rubicon.
I don't think they'll win this year, but I think in the next 5 to 10, I think they absolutely.
See, now you're sitting on a fence.
No, I just.
Now you've come in strong and said Italy are going to win.
They're real contenders. I think it's terrifying yesterday, and as an Irish fan, I was
do they have to wait a decade to do it?
No, I think 5 to 10 before they win a Grand Slam. I think they could win. Oh, I think they could be confident in the tournament within the next 3. Maybe.
Right, let's clip that up. Let's keep it. You will be our Nostradamus. So pick a year. It's now 2026. When will Italy win the Grand Slam?
The Grand Slam?
Yeah, but you said it'll be within 10 years.
I think 2034.
Yeah.
Or they'll come close and do it the next year.
Right.
I think they'll come so close to winning the tournament and they will come back vicious.
Well, let's hope. Let's all come back to Need in Wokingham.
Also,
and celebrate an Italian Grand Slam.
If I'm right, I win some sort of prize. I will be a savant at that point.
Just a quick one. You're not on your own, by the way, in believing that Italy are...
Johnny tipped Italy to win in his predictions.
And Rassi Erasmus has tipped them to be second this tournament. So you are 100% not alone in believing that Italy are
to have
a growing force.
Shaken is a big deal. Like, when Ireland beat South Africa, that was a really big moment, and South Africa have a lot of teams rattled, and for Italy not to be rattled, I think is massive. My second question is around the women's game.
Yes.
Do you think the men's game could do more to support the upward trajectory? Like we've now got World Cup champions. We're so fortunate as a nation to have that male and female. Do you think there's more the men's game could be doing to support?
It's always more. We currently have the president of the RFU this year is a female.
Yes.
Leading the charge. The Red Roses have won. I think there's 61 wins on the trot, or I'm not sure what it is. It's a lot. Little things that are happening that are really positive. They've got their own Six Nations now. Mm-hmm. They're not, by the way, stay
anymore
and watch. I mean, it's not necessarily an after for that long but they've moved to York and other places. But on the same day now, it's their whole championship. There's a whole heap of investment and support that I know the RFU. They've tied down John Mitchell to another 4-year deal. I think you're right. There are some barriers. I think the Premiership doesn't have a sponsor yet, a title sponsor. So there's a lot of people who are saying, yeah. Right, come on, let's see your coin.
Yeah.
Let's back it up because there's a real opportunity to make an absolute dynasty and the Red Roses to dominate.
I think England have always been really good at funding the Red Roses and advertising the Red Roses. I've been a bit disappointed with other nations, including Ireland.
Yes.
Like the way...
Is there anyone you'd like to say they've been awesome? Who's impacted your rugby journey and you want to give them a shout out now?
I mean, Aoife Wafer, for me, as a Wexford woman, she goes out, she plays unapologetically, be it for country. You know, Ireland, for me, I was endlessly proud that last Six Nations, they kept the Red Roses to 0 for a good 50, 60 minutes. Now, the yellow card came and it all came undone. But for me, I think there are some women who are playing absolutely fearlessly and we just don't hear about it quite as much.
Yeah.
And I think there is more the men's team could be doing, but England have been, for me, a really good role model.
Yeah, I think some of the things are great. I think Jamie George goes and coaches, doesn't he? I think they've done some joint sessions at Pennyhill Park. I would like to think, but I'm not walking in those shoes, I would like to think the English Rugby Union do as much for their women's game, if not more, than any other country in the world. So if you could ask Bill Sweeney, the CEO of the RFU, to do one thing for the women's game in England, what would you want from the Rugby Football Union, England Rugby?
I would want commitment to remove more of the barriers that stop women from playing. We've got, and like at all levels from grassroots up, for me, like Shauna Brown is such a good example. She joined a grassroots rugby team and 2 years later was representing her country. I think that's incredible. There's that fella in the Prem who's just finished being a mortgage broker and is now playing in the Prem. And I think there are so many more barriers to women, childcare, whatever it is. I think more commitment on that front.
Yes.
And
Could you name any particular examples? I don't want to put you on the spot. What sort of barriers are there?
I think for me,
educate me if you can.
Our resources are always less. I mean, I've heard of women's team training in car parks or without coaches. You know, I'm part of a grassroots rugby team and we've consistently struggled with recruitment and it's often women's rugby supporting women's rugby. So after the World Cup, we got a whole ton of new gear because they reached out and said, who wants this? And we bit their hand off. But very rarely is it direct from the RFU. That came from a subset that takes care of women's rugby within the RFU, which is brilliant. But for me, there's a barrier in access to the same resource. So if you look at certain clubs, even locally to us, they will have...
Which clubs would they be locally to you?
I think it's Maidenhead have great RFU support. I can't think of the other one because I've just been there. My partner played there.
Yeah.
They have had a ladies' side fold 6 times in the last 5 years, but their men's team have won. So they have the skill and they have the resource, but they can't keep that ladies' team together. And that for me says you're doing great, but there's something wrong here. It should be like for like. And it's funny to me that in lots of grassroots you'll see, you know, 1s, 2s and 3s. Very rarely will you see a ladies 1s and a ladies 2. So I don't quite know how we do it, but I guess it's a conversation of bringing grassroots into that conversation. And quite often we focus on that top level and we don't look below.
Fab. Bill, are you listening?
Yeah, Bill. Are you joking? No drama, Bill. Okay, thanks.
Love it. Well done.
Who's up next?
Campo, my question is specifically for yourself. Good sir. You are stranded on a desert island, we will say in the Caribbean. So you have unlimited rum or whatever your poison is. You are stranded for a month. Which 3 rugby players, past or present, would you choose to survive with yourself?
You got to think about who's good with their hands,
What a
who's
question.
brainy, who's a good swimmer, maybe.
What a question. I think I'd go with Paul Grayson as one because I just find him very, very funny. And one of the things that you need is someone to constantly keep you upbeat. I love his dry sense of humour. He's quite an unexpected individual, flies below the radar, very calm thinker, sort of treats life a little...
Deep down, he's quite miserable.
It may
He'll drag you down. He's from
so it definitely wouldn't be
he's from
great.
Shorley.
Greens is
He's
saying
an
no.
Northerner, yeah.
No,
That fun bit's all facade with Grace.
Okay, so
Strong, he is funny.
we'll go Grace. Then we got to go with someone that's got ridiculous levels of energy and positivity. Who would be that individual?
Pollock.
No, it drives me nuts.
Right,
Right?
okay. You said energy and positivity. That's
Yeah. But no, I don't think I could be not stuck on a desert island with him.
good game's a quick game.
Go on, Greens. You help me. Help me.
Okay, I would past or present.
Past
Or present. I'd have Waseli Serevi from Fiji. Very calm individual, and if we were playing sort of the rugby version of Keepy Uppy, he was a wizard. Humour-wise, I'd probably take Austin.
I reckon he might eat you.
He's a little man. Oz, and then pick another nationality. I'd have a South African. Let's go with... Oh, I tell you what I'd go with, because he lives out in the Costa Rican jungle now, and lives in a commune, Joe Van Niekerk.
Oh,
So he would be able to build a hammock.
Yeah,
He would understand jungle and calm life, and he's very zen.
yeah, surfer.
Great question, Greg. Right, does that wrap everything up?